Greetings, music lovers. I'm Ace, and you're tuned in to For the Rotation, the podcast where DJ stories become the soundtrack to your success. In each episode, we'll embark on a journey through DJ stories that transcend music, weaving through the highs, the lows, and the transformative power of resilience. Join me as we explore the rhythm of accomplishment, turning obstacles into opportunities as we learn how my guests did it all for the rotation. Welcome back to For the Rotation. Today's guest is an amazing human being that I've had the honor to work with many times throughout my career here at Grant Performances. And she works as a DJ across Los Angeles and also as an event curator. And I'd love for you to learn about her story and how she became a DJ. Please welcome DJ LABellatini.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
I'm happy to be here. This is cool.
It's amazing to have you. I'd love to really dive into you, how you became a DJ first. But first, I would like to know, what were your beginnings in music, and how did you first fall in love with music?
I think about this one all the time. I'm like, where were my beginnings? I did never anticipate being a DJ. Being a DJ is not something that I ever thought was going to happen. Like most of the things in my life, I just kind of fall into things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But when I started DJing, that's when I really started thinking about it more, like, because I definitely feel that music and DJing is one of my passions. I feel like it's one of my callings. I've been able to do so much with just DJ in general. So I know it definitely started from when I was a little kid. I remember even being 2-3 years old, and I was the one that always put the records on.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents, we had a record player and records and stuff. And, so I was always, from as little as I can remember, I was the one that would always have music on in the background.
Okay.
And we were latchkey kids, so we were home alone a lot of times. And, so that was part of my, I'm the oldest of 3, kids. And so we would come home. The first thing I would do was always put music on, and then we'd get to doing our chores or whatever.
Okay.
So, I mean, honestly, my parents were really big music lovers. They had a ton of vinyl, and they were always playing music. They never went to concerts or did any sort of live music.
Okay.
They never went to live music events or anything like that. But we played music at the house all the time, and we had parties all the time. We were always but we have a humongous family. So between all of us, it's there's the carne asada, the quinceañeras, all of the parties, you know what I mean? There's so many of us. So, I think I was just always around it, I think my story is probably very similar to most Latinos in LA too. You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of all of our origin stories.
Well, most DJs have an interesting story of being inspired by someone or having someone that was actually a mentor. Did you ever have anybody like that in your life?
I mean, I've had a ton of mentors through my life. Again, just that I've, stumbled upon and, have helped me. I've been super supported through, I would say, most of my life. So I have a bunch of mentors. As far as DJ mentors, I really looked up to, I mean, I was born and raised in I was raised in the 90s, right? So I love turntablism. I love the whole DJ. I like manipulating sound with records. I like that. I like the idea of being able to use a turntable as an instrument. So the people that I always looked up to and that I always was these guys are doing some cool shit are Cut Chemist were some of my favorites. Obviously, J-Rock is one of my J-Rock was one of my idols because he played a lot of the stuff that my parents listened to. So my parents listened to a lot of oldies and Motown and all that kind of stuff. But then being able to do cool stuff with that,
right,
and not necessarily being hip hop. You know what I mean? I love hip hop too, but I think artists that were able to use old music but then make it new or fresh, and that's something that I've always been attracted to. So I would say, as far as people I looked up to, and I mean, Cut Chemist was one of my early mentors in DJing, but mostly as an influence, as with his influence and just any conversation I'd ever had with him,
right.
I really listened to. He was someone that what he said mattered to me.
Wow. Yeah. Well, do you have an interesting story about how your first you getting your first turntables? I know every DJ has an interesting story about that. Like what was your first introduction to a turntable?
I mean, so I was introduced to turntables when I was a little kid, but I had 2 turntables and a mixer at my house probably for most of my life. Like, I feel like
Wow.
I always had 2 turntables and a mixer. Like,
Really?
once I was like a grown up and I had my own place,
Yeah.
because I have really great friends and I surround myself with really amazing artists.
Okay,
So
so
I
much, yeah.
knew that if they came, like right now, I have a guitar in my house, I have a bass, I have a Rhodes, I have all these instruments
Wow.
that I don't really even play. But when the homies come through, they're
Right.
playing them, and that's what I like. So I want to, I want to have like things available for people to express themselves creatively,
Right.
musically. So I've had 2 turntables and a mixer for a very long time, but I got 2 techniques. I remember when I first started really like getting into DJing,
Yeah.
the turntables that I had at the time were like belt driven, like they're not going to work for anything like that, right? So
Right.
I remember I was like trying to do mixes and it wasn't picking up, like
Mhm.
techniques are different, right?
Hmm.
And one of my my partner at the time was at my house, and I was like, man, I really like, if I want to do this DJ thing serious, I can't be using these 2. I need to get like the top turntables because
Right.
that's how I'm going to learn. And he was like, well, Lucas Cummins, he's like, Lucas was able to play on these turntables at your party, no problem, a few weeks ago. Like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, okay, Lucas could use like flip a bike on its side and play to, you know what I mean, music that way pretty simply. And
Right.
I'm not cut chemist,
Right.
So I think my first real like techniques were like 7 years ago, where I was like, okay, I want to take this serious, and so that means I need to have all the equipment and the best equipment because I need to succeed. So that's my first step. That's how I kind of take things.
That's amazing.
It sounded ridiculous, I think, at the time because I didn't, but now that I think about it, I'm like, if I wasn't that forceful,
Yeah.
or aggressive or overbearing or whatever people might want to call me,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So
Exactly. So take me through your routine. Like, how did you perfect your skills? Like, what was your routine like, and how did you dedicate yourself through the process of actually perfecting your craft?
So I'm a Virgo Libra cusp. So everything I do is like, not only am I the Libra side is like the balanced, airy, cool, like experimental side, but the Virgo side's
Mhm.
like I'm very strict, and I'm very like when I say I'm going to do something, I'm like I'm in it.
Mhm.
So when I wanted to, I didn't know I was going to be DJing like professionally or have any plans to do that. I literally joined the Beat Junkie school as a joke, kind of like I kind of was like, oh, I'll go and then I'll learn how to DJ and it's gonna be so much fun because then when people come over, I'm gonna be like, guess what I could do? And I'm just gonna surprise them with some fucking scratch routine or something. You know what I mean? Because obviously, once you learn it once, like it's in you forever. You don't have to
Right.
practice or anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then as I started getting into it, I was like, man, this is actually really kind of cool. So when I started at the school, our class was like I think like 2 to 3 hours. I think it may have been like 3 hours a week or something at
Mhm.
one time, and then I would go 2 hours twice a week. I think when I did like a second course,
Mhm.
and then when I came home, I would practice for like 3 to 4 hours
There
every
you go.
day.
Mhm.
I was always practicing 3 to 4 hours every day. But I think what made me where I know I was like, oh man, I'm a good DJ. Like I know I'm a good DJ now. Like
Mhm.
I know I could do all the stuff. I do the audio and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
But the reason why I know I could do that is because during the pandemic,
Mhm.
the first thing I did when everything shut down was set up a system to be able to play out, whether it was on Facebook Live or Instagram. It was before I was on
Oh.
Twitch and all that. And during the pandemic, I was so afraid of like disconnecting with people that we were all going to disconnect from one another, that I was like, I felt like it was like my obligation. Like I had to be online and provide music for my family.
Wow.
So I was on Zoom. I remember I did Zoom for like my friends and family, and we'd have like, sometimes we'd have like 2 or 3 people in the room, and sometimes we'd have like 10 or 15. But I remember I'd be on Zoom for like, during the pandemic, I easily was DJing 5 to 8 hours a day, every day.
Wow.
I would spend my entire day DJing.
Wow. So that's
every
like
day.
almost like your thought process of actually streaming was almost your process of practicing as well,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Oh totally.
Right.
And I'm okay with like I'm who I am. So I don't care if I don't get embarrassed
If
like
like a
that.
mishap happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Things
yeah. You got
happen,
to
you know
move
what I
on.
mean? Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to keep it moving. So yeah, I'd be on there. I'd be eating my meal. Sometimes I'd be like, all right, I took like a spicy ramen challenge one time where I ate like a bowl of spicy ramen while I was DJing. Like,
It sounds like a fearless mentality that you have, and like that you take initiative towards towards something that you're passionate about, and that's what
yeah.
really got you to where you are, along with investing in yourself. I find that like that's really interesting how you invested in yourself, and it really got you to your skill sets that you actually have now. How important is that, would you say, like that if you never invested in yourself and like and actually put the just you said you joined the Beat Junkies School Institute of Sound like as a joke, but
Yeah.
like where would you be now if you didn't do that?
And honestly, like I joined the Beat Junkies and I did it, like I said, to learn. I wanted to learn how to DJ mostly because I wanted to be able to provide a service for my friends. Like if they came over, if
Right.
we're all just hanging out at the house and doing whatever, I wanted to be like, cool, well, let me do something so that it
Hmm.
keeps everyone's spirits high. So
Right.
that's the one thing that I will say, like with DJing, I realized very early on the magic behind manipulating the sound in a room and like
Hmm.
the vibe in a room,
Yeah.
very early I learned that if I invested in myself, in my energy, in my peace, that naturally would attract the people that I want
Right. Right.
around me, just by math. You know what I mean? I don't have to put any effort aside from the work I put into myself. So putting work into myself is the most important thing. I say regularly, I don't spend a ton of time thinking about what you're thinking about. I just spend most of my time thinking about how I'm going to handle myself in this current situation. And if you say something random, then I got to work on, okay, how would I respond to that, So
Right.
I spend
Okay.
more time thinking about myself than I know it sounds terrible, but I think about
It-
myself all the time.
this is why we're having conversations like this,
Yeah.
because actually this is great information, because what it really shows is how you've gotten to where you are by actually being that way. And I find every single DJ has a really interesting story about how they perceive life and how they actually like go about life, and that each one of them has a different story, and yours is actually very different from many others, but not too different, but at the same time it's really interesting on how your outlook is. And what I've taken so far from your story is that like you surround yourself around people, right? And a lot of creatives. Now, how important has that been for you? Like I swear it's been instrumental, right? Like as far as like you being around so many creatives that it actually
Yeah.
brought more out of you, right?
Well, I mean, being around other people that are doing kind of either what you want to do or similar in the same kind of field or whatever, I like the process of I like the creative process. Like every like whatever their people are into, whether you're into audio or whether you're an artist, like use paint or whatever it is. Like I wasn't raised in an artistic family, My parents are like, my father's a construction worker, he owns a construction company and he works at a building materials spot. And then my mom's retired, but she was always like store director at a grocery store. She was
Hmm.
always just kind of running. She was always doing like the production stuff, right?
Right.
So like I wasn't really around a lot of creative people growing up, but
Mm.
I knew that but as I was growing up, like I just knew I wanted to be around creative people. I wanted to be free. Like that's how I look at artistry and being an artist as like a freedom. And
Wow.
freedom, how people are always like freedom ain't free. They're not joking. It's not free. You
No.
pay a lot to be free. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It takes a lot. To be an artist, you have to really commit to like what I'm doing. I love it, and I have to if I have to stay loving it even if you don't love it. If you don't love it, you and I don't need to be kicking it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Detaching from expectations and what other like that's like something that I think as an artist you learn. And I've been able to process a lot of the artistry and a lot of being surrounded by a lot of different artists.
Hmm.
I really like um like I'm inspired by that. You know, I'm inspired by what keeps people going, and the fact that we all could see things so differently, and everything I see, like even in this room, you and I will describe it so differently from one another,
Right.
because of what you've brought in, and your past, all your stuff is going to guide you on how you see this room, right?
Right.
Same with me here. And imagine in the world of art, I mean, it's like this huge universe that, you know, you're exploring. So
Right.
I like that. I think it's like, it sounds like an adventure. It feels like an adventure.
It is.
To
It
be
is
an
an
artist.
adventure. Like art is an adventure.
Yeah.
I agree. And it takes everybody on their own journey or across wherever path they're supposed to be on. And like I think art also requires sacrifice, right?
Yes. Big time.
Right. And like and I see that I see through your story that like there's been also like not necessarily sacrifice. I think you share like a mentality that require that you encompass that really allows you to feel what you call free, right?
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, and in my head, I'm looking at it as in the same words of being a sacrifice too, because you don't let up on what you want, right? And you just continue to do it, which is a beautiful thing. So, let's dig a little bit deeper, because I know that you don't just DJ, you also event curate. So how has DJing allowed you to become an event curator? Like were these things that just happened to fall on your lap, or did you find a way to adapt and change to like?
Well, so the beginning part of my professional career as a creative, I guess, started as, you know, working in film and television. So
Okay.
I have a lot of production experience. Like I've run my own production company, you know, I've worked on multi-million-dollar casting budgets, you know, where I've been like the lead. So I've done like a lot of big high-end TV and film production, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I started DJing honestly because I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting tired of this Hollywood thing. And every time I say that, it sounds so silly, but I was just kind of like, man, I wasn't really, again, was I making money? Cool. Was I making big projects? Great. Did I like any of them? Did I love them? Was I passionate about them?
Wow. Okay.
Not really, you know?
Okay.
Was it people that I was working around? Are they cool? Do I love them? Not really. Some of them I do, of course.
Yeah.
But like working on all these different products, is that something I wanted to do? No, not really.
Wow.
So I started DJing as like, again, it's like a little outlet. It was kind of something like, okay, let me just do something else. And then that started picking up. Eventually that I started making more money DJing.
Wow.
And then I'm like dropping all my secrets. I'm going to do a workshop and teach this. This is here for free. But what happened was I started using all my resources, all the things like I was talking to you about earlier, like the resources that I have. Like I started using like the resources as far as like how I want productions to feel and look. What parties do I want to go to or whatever?
Right.
So like with DJing, for me has turned into I describe DJing as the Trojan horse to being able to do whatever I want. I have more access as a DJ now than I do as an accomplished casting director.
Wow. That's an awesome.
But then I'm able to use my DJ access to then get better Hollywood casting jobs or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it kind of like worked out. Like when I worked at like I cast a show last year called La Firma on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially like rhythm and flow. I worked on that show too, but it's like rhythm and flow. But instead of looking for like the next urban hip hop star, it's like looking for like the urban Latino star, right? So I cast that show. How amazing is it that like I'm a DJ and I play a lot of Latino bars and a lot of Latino clubs and whatever, and I'm receiving literally thousands of submissions of me and music and learning, and I have a team that's going through all that shit to tell me who's good or whatever to put on a TV show, and then from there I could get their music to play at my gigs of people who don't even know, some guy in Chile, like, you know what I mean? Like nobody, you know. So I use all my resources.
That's amazing. So like it's like an alternative like story for me, because usually I meet a lot of DJs that actually start off as a DJ and then you know become other things or start working on different things. But your story is very interesting because it seems like you started off in television production, and that creative background led you to what we call freedom today.
Yeah, totally. Because like I was able to use, that's the part that I think the reason why I've been able to be such an effective community organizer is that I use my experience and my resources from working alongside some incredible executive producers and then super talented other, creatives in the film. And I can use those resources in the community sector
Right.
and in the DJ community. And it's like, incredibly it's more powerful because I just have a lot of it's like being able to put this like amazing, like all these amazing resources in this like kind of like a smaller pool. I mean, honestly, the DJ and entertainment LA world, that's actually super small. So that's why like there's DJs out there that are like, you asked me earlier, like who are the ones? I mean, there's DJs out there who think that there are amazing DJs.
Right.
They're just unaware that there's a world that's this much bigger around that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're totally awesome here. But I just wanted, what if I told you that there's a whole ass world that doesn't know about you?
Right. That's
that
very
you've not
true.
done.
That's very true.
So maybe check the ego a little. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Yeah. I respect that. So was there a moment in after pursuing DJing, right, where you actually felt like, okay, I've arrived, like this is my like, is there a moment that happened in your career, like your DJing career, where you just felt like, okay, you know what, I got this now,
I'm a DJ?
Yeah.
Yes, and the moment occurred on a big stream on Twitch.
Okay.
And there was like some like malfunction, something was happening, and I was able to like fix it, get it going, and didn't drop a beat. Like it was like a quick little thing. I was like fix it. And I came back and I was like, here we are. And it was like, I think like a lot of people in the chat were just like, holy shit, that was like the most rock star shit I'd ever seen. I did not like skip a beat. That's when I realized it's usually when I am through some sort of what could be a failure moment, I see myself and I'm like, I did okay. That's when I realized like, oh shit, I actually am a DJ. I know what the hell I'm doing. No one can tell me shit. I challenge anyone.
I love it. That makes sense, because like a lot of them have like I've heard a lot of the different types of success stories, but I love yours because it really shows that like you actually you looked at it in a specific way of staying cool. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think keeping your composure is probably one of the most important things.
Right. Because I mean, like not being able to keep your cool and keeping it together when shit hits the fan, it's
especially as a performer, especially as a DJ, especially when you're up there, like you can't be tripping out. You know what I mean? Your energy is like energy's real, like it's not, so it's like if you're up there like panicked, there's gonna be some sensitive people out there who are gonna see you panic and then they're gonna start panicking. Nobody wants to have that vibe,
Right.
You have to be able to like know. If I am very aware of my energy and I'm very aware of how like where it's I'm on an energy diet, you know what I mean? So I'm always like making sure my shit's tight,
Right. So there's one thing I wanted to touch on topic with you, which is the power of resilience. And you seem like you're a very, very resilient person. And I want to know.
Although I want everyone to know I'm also I'm more of a soft, gentle flower than I am resilient.
I know, but you also have resilience about you. And can you like describe to me what resilience means to you and how you access it within yourself?
Resilience. I think I would describe resilience as the ability to withstand a lot of pressure and criticism or whatever, any sort of like negative kind of things, like, and whether it's negative or not too, that's the one thing I'm kind of learning to change even within myself right now, is that nothing really has actual value. It's just what we put onto it, right? So like just being able to take pressure and maybe being able to like be off-centered for a while and like find yourself back, like the consistency of being able to get yourself up when you've been falling down. That's how I would describe resilience. And I definitely have I am a resilient person for sure.
Right. And it requires that, right? To be
I think just to be a human in this earth at this point, you need to be kind of a resilient person. You know, my parents are extremely resilient. I mean, my dad came here illegally a million years ago or whatever, and is now a citizen. So I don't want anybody hunting him down or anything like that. I mean, you have like a whole crew coming after you. But yeah, so they did so much. I mean, my parents had me very young, and my grandparents, they all worked really hard for us to all be here. For us, you know what I mean? My parents worked to help other people be here, you know, and to try to like start up their life and just to have kind of stuff. So like my parents worked very hard for me to be where I'm at, and so I would not feel right. It would not feel good for me to take this position and responsibility that was bestowed upon me by my parents, my ancestors, and to just kind of just be like some ordinary person that doesn't contribute greatly to society.
That's awesome.
You know, like it would bum me out if that's like, I know that if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, no one would say that I didn't do something for somebody.
Let's hope that does not happen. But are there any sayings or mantras that you have that help you through, like, you know, any tough times that you say to yourself that help you, like that actually?
I have a bunch. I live by that. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know like I'm about like whether I'm going through it or if I see something that I'm like, oh, someone could take, this is a good message. You know what I mean? I think someone could take from this. But one that I'm just using right now that I'm like have to remind myself of regularly that I love, and my friend Christian introduced it to my life. It's through me, not by me, which pretty much means like projects, opportunities, love, friendship, everything, right? Happens through me, but not by me. I'm not going to create anything. I'm not going to be the one that does it. If it comes my way and I receive it, then cool. And it could just come through me. But I'm not like actively, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and that just kind of alleviates it just kind of makes it to where it's like, then I don't have to be in charge of doing everything, like starting everything, or you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so I'm letting things flow. But another one that I really love, that was introduced to me last year by my friend Ron, is when we were having a discussion, he like said this line. I remember it like went through my whole body, and I was like, that is what I'm doing. You're right. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. That's what you're doing. So that's what we're doing. That's what we do. But it's living life by design. He's like, yeah, you're living your life by design. You're designing the life that you want to live. And I remember, I don't know why, it just stopped me in my tracks, like that's that line. And so whenever I am in a situation, well, any situation, I'm like, is this something I want to do in my life? When I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, what am I doing today? I look at my schedule, I see what I'm doing. How do I want to do that? What does that look like? Is it, you know, so then I could plan it a little bit, even like, what does it feel like? You know, what do I want to feel like today? I usually pick like a cheery person. Like, you know, that's like what I usually, sometimes I wake up and I choose violence, you know what I mean? But most of the time I choose cheer. Because I get more shit when I'm nice too. That's the reality. That's the secret. You want to like get stuff, be nice.
Right. So speaking of being nice, like, have you had the opportunity now in your career as a DJ to pay it forward?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You have.
That's my whole thing.
Okay.
That's the only thing I want to do.
Okay, cool.
Every job that I take, every gig that I make, it's like to connect people and to try to get people. And like I have a collective, it's called Friends Over Followers. And it essentially started by, I would just get all these gigs, and I had so many, and I was like, I need to share them with people because and I know that there's some gatekeeping that I guess occurs. I have not experienced it, but I've heard of this.
Okay. You
know, if I've been kept out of places for reasons I wouldn't know because I've been too busy doing things, you know, but I love, like, that's, I have a student. I have a couple of students now that I teach privately.
Cool.
One is a girl that lives down the street that I've taught how to play vinyl, and she had her first vinyl set. Like, she came to my house in like January. We were making tamales, and she's like, "It'd be my dream to learn how to play vinyl and to have a set." And I was like, "Okay, cool. You're booked February 15th. You better start learning, girl. You gotta get over here." And she came in 6 hours a day.
Wow.
You know. But I did also teach a bunch of kids. I actually started the pilot program at LA County Parks and Rec for kids, like to
Mhm.
teach them how to DJ. And we were funded by the Department of Economic Opportunity. So they actually got paid about $17 an hour to learn how to DJ. And I was the teacher.
Wow. That's amazing.
Is that crazy?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So I had 10 students. They're like 15 to like, they're like 14 to 16 years old or whatever.
Mhm.
And I taught them all how to DJ. They were supplied with like, they all had controllers, they all had speakers, headphones, a
Yeah.
little flash drive. I got BeatSource to give us like, to give us keys for the music so they could download and play from there so they could learn
Wow.
BeatSource. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be doing, and then because of that program that, I piloted, it got approved. And so it's going to go over 36 parks this year.
Wow.
We're figuring all that, the logistics of that. And I'm likely going to have the responsibility of like booking the DJs that go
Right.
there. So that's like something I like to do because I know that like a lot of like the bars and restaurants and stuff like that, they don't really pay like what you're supposed to get paid as a DJ, right? They just could pay what they have as a budget.
Mhm.
It's their budget, right?
Right.
So whenever I have opportunities like this, that's like, then I could give them at least a better payday. And
Mhm.
like I said, the nice DJs get the work.
So be a nice DJ.
Yeah.
So being a female, and I have to ask this question to you because I think it's really important for everybody to know, like your standpoint on this. Being a female DJ in a male dominated industry, right? First question I want to ask you is like, have you ever experienced any setbacks from being a female DJ and approaching?
Like I said earlier, if I have had any setbacks, if someone has not booked me because I'm a girl DJ, or if someone doesn't think I'm good enough because I'm good, I wouldn't know about it.
Got it. Okay.
I wouldn't know about it.
Okay.
If anyone ever like said I sucked or anything like that, they obviously don't know either. So you know what I mean? So I'm not really affected. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
totally.
You might not like
Kobe. I love it.
You can't say he sucks.
No,
you know
I love it.
That's how I think.
I love it. I like how you put that because that just means you live in your own positivity.
Yeah. Well, I live in the present too, and I know what my value is. I'm very aware in like the world, not just DJ.
Right.
And so DJing, like I said, is just something I do as like a gateway,
to your freedom,
to get my freedom.
Yes. And so let me ask you another thing. How important is it within the craft of DJing for like this, for the representation of females, like for like, to represent diversity and inclusion? Like, because I mean, in my opinion, I believe females bring a whole different light.
I might be biased, but I think girl DJs are the best DJs. I think they're better DJs. And the reason why I think that is because, and this is just science and like biology, right?
Okay.
Men are just a little bit more ego driven. That's just naturally the way it's supposed to, I think in general, right?
Okay.
And especially as an artist or as a DJ, and in this DJ and hip hop is also very ego driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like women, I'm not suggesting that, of course, we're raised in a patriarchal society. So we're going to be, also emulating some toxic masculinity from time to time, regardless of what body we have,
Okay.
So I feel like having women DJs, it's not just for diversity, of course for diversity and all that stuff, but not just that. It's like, I think it's a better product. I think more women will show up if there's women DJs.
Okay.
Women and like, so like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and having that carefree energy, like more women DJs, like they're more carefree, they're fun, they dance, they're smiley, they're like doing cool things, or they're like, even if they're intense, they're doing it. But it's so cool to see someone who, if you think about it, like women didn't have all the resources, have not had all the resources to do to what men are doing. You know what I mean? Like men have had more resources through time.
Right.
And just like people of color have not had as many resources as, non-people of color, right? Or non people of non-color. I don't know. Anyway, but so I feel like I think having more women DJs in the limelight, or just giving them the opportunity, I think it will, and it has changed the culture. It changes like the landscape of how things go. It softens things up a little bit. naturally and it makes a house a home. You know what I mean? Like that's
Wow.
what women do.
That's a great way of putting it.
You know, so I feel like clubs and bars that might have like, I mean, I DJ at La Cita, you know what I mean? And like, of course, everyone's out there trying to get, you know, always like that. I DJ like for Moist Monday, for instance. It's mostly guys that DJ Moist Monday on various Mondays, but I will guest with Hella Breezy, also a girl. So it's just us two girls.
Yeah.
There's not a day that the bartenders and everybody's like, man, we love it when it's you two here. Because we're having fun. We're not like, I think a lot of times what happens is like some of these like big guy DJs, they play because they're like, they want to have control of the room.
Okay, get it.
And I don't want to control the room. I want to vibe with the room.
You want to party with the room.
I want the party with the room. I want the room to party with me. I want to get hugs. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Like I want to be like dancing. I want to feel free. I want, again, that freedom thing, you know? You can't do that when you're like trying to control a room. That seems like so dictatorship. You know what I mean?
Totally. So
and I'm not
come
like that.
see LABellatini play if you want to party with her.
Yeah, if you want to dance, have a good time. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And you know what? I went to NAMM this year, and honestly, there's a huge movement, and I love it because they had a whole like turntablist like circle going on, and it was just all females with DJ Shorty, and I was so impressed by the skill set that females have now. And like, you know, I agree. Like I've never seen it. Like I've been to NAMM every single year for the past like 6-7 years, and wow.
Isn't it cool?
It's amazing.
I mean, so when I curate my stages too, like, so I try to be like diverse like that too. And I also try to give DJs opportunities that maybe like, that maybe they're not getting opportunities wherever they are because there's like, you know, whatever the situation, you know? So because I want people to be able to experience, if nothing else, even if you don't do it all the time, like experiencing that high. Like it's a total high to be like, to be out there DJing and stuff. Like it's such a, like the dopamine that gets like released in your brain is like insane. And that's going to make you happy. And you as a happy person, you can make other people happy. And that's like the whole point, right?
It is.
So I really, like I book kids too. And I have some kid DJs that I know. I'll book them to do stuff. I have like a father-daughter team that I book a lot of times because I think that's dope. I don't know if my dad would be a good DJ, but I don't know what it would be like if we ever DJ'd together. That seems cool. That's a cool dynamic, you know?
That is a cool dynamic. Well, we're going to wrap this up, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about you. And I also, honestly, I think you dropped a lot of jewels on me and also on everybody who's going to be watching this, especially about your network and how to utilize your network and how powerful that can be for everybody. And I know a lot of people are going to be inspired by this story. And I really appreciate you.
Thanks. I hope so.
And if you can, let everybody in the audience know how they can, you know, get in touch with you or reach out to you on what socials.
I'm LABellatini everywhere. So it's LABellatini on Instagram, on TikTok, and I'm all over LA and the world. I just booked a couple shows in Germany in July, so I'm worldwide, baby.
Worldwide. Come check out LABellatini and party with her. All right. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into For the Rotation. If you found inspiration in today's episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Please visit fortherotation.com to view more episodes and support our podcast by purchasing some cool merch. You can also find us on all social media channels at For the Rotation to engage with our community of dream chasers. Until next week, keep the inspiration flowing and your dream alive, and return to learn how we do it all for the rotation.